He leaped out of the car. Furiously, he hustled into the railroad station. We followed sheepishly. He bought cigarettes. He had become absolutely mad in his movements. He seemed to be doing everything at the same time. It was all shaking of the head, up and down, sideways, jerky, vigorous hands, quick walking, sitting, crossing of the legs, uncrossing, getting up, rubbing of the hands, rubbing his balls, hitching his pants, looking up and saying, "Am," and sudden slitting of the eyes to see everywhere. And all the time he was poking me in the ribs and talking and talking. It was very cold in Rocky Mount. They had unseasonal snow. He stood in the long, bleak main street that runs along the Seaboard Railroad, clad in nothing but a t-shirt and low-hanging pants with the belt unbuckled, and as though he was about to take them off. He came sticking his hand in to talk to Luann. He backed away, fluttering his hands before her. "Oh yes, I know you. I know you, darling." His laugh was maniacal. It started low and it ended high, exactly like the laugh of a radio maniac, only faster and more titter. A tittering maniac. Then he kept reverting to business-like tones. There was no purpose in our coming downtown, but he found purposes. He made us all hustle. Luann for lunch groceries, me for paper to dig the weather report, Al for the cigars. Neil loved to smoke cigars. He smoked one over the paper and talked. Our holy American slopjaws up in Washington are planning further inconveniences." And he leaped off and he rushed to see a colored girl that just passed outside the station. "Dig her," he said, standing with a limp finger pointed fingering his genitalia with a goofy smile. "That little gone black lovely. We got in the car and roared back to my sister's house. I'd been spending a quiet Christmas in the country. As I realized when we got back into the house, I saw the Christmas tree, the presents, smelled the roasting turkey, listened to the talk of relatives, but now the bug was on me again, and the bug's name was Neil Cassidy, and I was off on another spurt around the road. We packed my sister's boxes, clothes and dishes and a few chairs in the back of the car and took off at dark, promising to be back in 30 hours. 30 hours for 1,000 miles north and south. But that's the way Neil wanted it. It was a tough trip. None of us noticed it. The heater was not working, and consequently the windshield developed fog and ice. Neil kept reaching out while driving 70 to wipe it with a rag and make a hole to see the road. In the spacious Hudson, we had plenty of room, all four of us up to sit up front. A blanket covered our laps. The radio wasn't working. It was a brand new car bought 5 days ago, and already it was broken. There was only one installment paid on it too. Off we went to North Virginia on 101. A straight 2-lane highway without much traffic, and Neil talked. No one else talked. He gestured furiously. He leaned as far as me, sometimes to make a point, sometimes he had no hands on the wheel, and yet the car went as straight as an arrow, not for once deviating the slightest bit from the white line in the middle of the road that unwound, kissing our left front tire. I didn't realize this was going to be the case all the way to California before this new season was over. It was a completely meaningless set of circumstances that made Neil come, and similarly, I went off with him for no reason. In New York, I'd been attending school and romancing around with a girl called Pauline, a beautiful, honey-haired Italian darling that I actually wanted to marry. All these years I was looking for a woman I wanted to marry. I couldn't meet a girl without saying to myself, what kind of wife would she make? I told Neil and Luann about Pauline. Luann suddenly leaped to the situation. She wanted to know all about Pauline, and she wanted to meet her, and we zoomed through Richmond, Washington, Baltimore, and up to Philadelphia on a winding country road and talked. "I want to marry a girl," I told him, "so I can rest my soul with her till we both get old. This can't go on all the time, all this franticness and jumping around. We've got to go someplace, find something." "Now, man," said Neil, "I've been digging you for years, about home and marriage and all those fine, wonderful things in your soul." On my right, sat Al Hinkle, who had married a girl for gas fare. I felt I was defending my position. It was a sad night. It was also a merry night. In Philadelphia, we went into a lunch cart and ate hamburgers with our last food dollar. The counterman, it was 3 a.m., heard us talk about money and offered to give us the hamburgers for free, plus more coffee if we all pitched in and washed dishes in the back because his regular man hadn't shown up. We jumped to it. Al Hinkle said he was an old pearl diver from way back and pitched his long arms into the dishes. Neil stood googing with the towel, so did Luann. Finally, they started necking among the pots and pans, and they withdrew to a dark corner in the pantry. The counterman was satisfied as long as Al and I did the dishes. We finished them in 15 minutes.